What's up guys, welcome back to a new video on the channel. Today we are doing a bit of a cam package on another 1-tonner. So you guys all know we're pretty big fans of 1-tonners, so this is pretty exciting. Anyway, so this tonner is in for a cam package. We're also putting some spicy heads on it. If you're interested in a cam package, you can head to our website. We've actually put together a complete cam package that you can buy. And if you're interested in us fitting a cam package, shoot us an email. I'll leave the email address in the description. But anyway, we'll get into what we're going to do here. So funny story, we actually have a little bit of history with this tonner even before now. We actually LS1 converted this tonner probably 2 years ago now, using a LS1 out of a VT, it was a VT Bellina. So this unit was originally a V6 manual. We converted this to LS1 manual and sort of gave it back to the guy. It is a VZ, so it is that weird sort of crossover where GM was just starting to get into CAN protocol and stuff like that and moving away from serial. So it was a bit of a tough conversion. We didn't quite get everything working at that time. We gave it back to old mate with the intention of obviously finishing it off as soon as we could figure out how to get all the CAN protocols working from the, the Gen 3 PCM. Or trying to make the dash work, I suppose, through serial. But anyway, in the meantime, the car was actually stolen. It got stolen, heaps of the parts got, ripped off it. The owner finally got it back, but once he got it back, it was in a pretty sad state. Most of the parts were missing, most of the good parts were gone. Still had the LS and stuff in here, obviously. So he ended up selling it to another guy that's fairly local out here. So that guy bought it, sort of refitted most of the things he had to, built a new exhaust for it because that was one of the things that went missing. What he actually did was convert to the VZ P59 PCM, which is your fly-by-wire CAN protocol. Managed to get pretty much all of the dash and everything in the car working now. So it's still got the stock motor that came out of the VT Bellina. It's just got some VZ goodies on it now and some bolt-ons. So it's here today. We're going to be putting a decent little stick in it. We haven't gone too big on the cam because it is a bit of a work ute. It's just going to be a really nice streetable car. We've also got some nice spicy CNC ported heads, the same ones we put on the 383 in the purple 1-tonner. So albeit the same heads, but they've actually been skimmed a little bit more, so we're going a little bit higher compression. And so yeah, basically full cam kit, lifters, springs, heads, and a cam and a retune, and we'll see what we can actually do and get out of it. So exciting stuff. Alright, so we've ended up going a little bit of a different direction with this thing. Normally we would just leave the engine in the bay. We have a special rack which we use to hang over across the bonnet sills, which then you can hang the motor and drop the cross member, and that's how we can get at the timing and everything with the motor in the car. So it sort of just eliminates the need to actually pull the motor from the car, particularly with manuals where it can get a bit tricky trying to line up the input shaft when you go to put the motor back in. Saves a little bit of time. However, while we're underneath this thing, just unhooking a few things we had to unhook and doing a bit of work we had to do, we've noticed that it's got a little bit of a weep. Looks like a rear main seal. So you can see here, rear main seal looks pretty sad. So given that fact, we've decided just to go ahead and pull the motor. By the time you have the heads off and you've got manifold and everything off, most of the loom's disconnected, it's not actually all that much more work just to pull the motor, particularly if you've got a questionable rear main or something like that and we're already at this point, it's worth pulling the motor just to do the rear main, peace of mind, get it back in. that's all good. So normally we wouldn't have to, which would make it a little bit quicker, but given the situation, we're just gonna do it, and we're just gonna pull the motor and do it that way. So that's what we've decided to do, and that's where we're up to now. Motor comes out. So I've cleaned up our covers already. As soon as they came off, went and cleaned that up, ready to go. But yeah, see if we can still have this done in a day. All right guys, so we decided just to give it a quick degrease just because it was pretty filthy and gross. And the GoPro didn't record the whole degrease. Anyway, you can see here, nice and degreased. A bit nicer to work on when it's a bit cleaner. So anyway, we're gonna just give this a bit of a blow off with the air. And then we're gonna go have some lunch while we wait for it to dry off, and then we can start getting into our spicy upgrades. Righto, we're back after a bit of a bite to eat, ready to start pulling this thing down so that we can install all our new juicy upgrades. So generally when we do a cam upgrade like this, we would do a baseline of the car prior to starting our upgrades. However, being that this thing was only just all converted to the VZ gear, the tune that's in the ECU is actually just one that Rex flashed in for them just so the car would run. So it's not really a tune for the motor anyway, so it wouldn't really be a very accurate representation. That and the fact that it's Saturday and we don't want to dyno on a Saturday because we don't want to upset the neighbours. So rather than, you know, literally put off the whole job because we can't get a baseline run in, we thought we'd just do it anyway. But we know for a fact that a pretty stock LS1 with a, you know, a set of trial wires like an exhaust like this, plus, you know, the LS6 style intake manifold that it had on it. We know that these usually run up in a manual car at around that sort of 300 horsepower at the wheels, maybe up to almost 315 at the most, sort of pretty stock. So that's what we're working off. We're working off a baseline of around that 300 horsepower, and we'll see how we go once we get it done. But anyway, first we'll start pulling all this down. Rightio guys, so now we've got it stripped down, we're pretty much ready to move this into our engine room. as Rex was doing a lot of that stripping, you would have seen me at the back just starting to clean everything up, all the things that we're reusing, like the front cover plate and the sump. So we're actually putting a complete new rear cover plate on this thing. GM, after they went away from the LS1, actually upgraded the rear plate to something that was a bit more rigid and doesn't bow as easily. So usually on LS1s, if we've got to do a rear main, we just replace it with one of those new plates. They're a bit better. So yeah, so ready to move it into the engine room and start building it back up. So as most of you know, or are familiar with LSs know, that a lot of the hardware that's used on LSs is torque to yield, which means it's really only designed to be used once and has to be replaced when you do something like what we're doing today. So I've worked pretty hard. Obviously, we've done a lot of LS cam kits. We know exactly what you need. We know exactly what needs to be replaced as you go through and you do your cam upgrade, depending on sort of what level of upgrade you're doing and what parts you're actually upgrading. So I've worked pretty hard over the past couple of months to put together a complete cam kit for our website, where you can go and actually purchase a whole cam kit for your LS and get everything all in the one spot. So this is pretty much what it would look like when it came to you. Most of the stuff, it comes from Crow Cams. We're a big fan of Crow Cams. We like a lot of their grinds. Most of our off-the-shelf cams come from Crow. So this is what your complete sort of cam upgrade kits looks like with everything you need. Obviously, rear main plate and stuff can be purchased separately depending on whether you're going to pull the motor or not. The way the cam kits are put together is in the interest of leaving the motor in the car and doing your cam upgrade. So if you wanted to pull them out, there's plenty of more options to go, which is I definitely recommend doing your rear cover plate while it's out, like we have done today. The other thing I always recommend is a trunnion upgrade kit. We have two different levels of trunnion upgrade kit. This is the one from Crow Cams. It is just your white box type. For most fairly mild setups, this works perfectly. It's fine. If you have something that's you know, really high RPM or huge lift on the cam, we recommend another trunnion upgrade, which we do also sell, built by CHE. And it's just a little bit better in that the oiling system for the trunnion is a little bit more effective. So you get less wear in the actual trunnion bush for those that are doing massive RPM or you know, massive lift on the cam. However, they are a fair bit more expensive. So we do offer both essentially as an add-on for your cam kit on the website. They're there as well if you wish to purchase them as you go. And we're sort of trying to cater for both sides of the budget. We also do these kits in a few different levels. So we do it as just cam and springs. We do it in a full kit like this, but sort of a budget-friendly option, which is mostly GM replaced parts. So replacement GM head bolts, replacement GM balancer bolt. You know, it leaves a few things out. And then for those of you who really want everything to be upgraded, we do offer another kit, which includes all ARP head bolts, ARP balancer bolt, you know, mostly ARP hardware and a few other bits and bobs and goodies. So they all come with LS7 lifters and new lifter buckets. Yeah, so anyway, if you're looking to LS or if you're looking to do a cam upgrade on your LS, definitely head to the website and check it out. And you'll be able to see, I'll go through today as we put this together exactly what we're working with. So like I said, guys, there's two sort of levels of cam kits. One is more of a budget friendly, the other one is sort of comes with everything you'd want extra, but they all come with the basics of new cam of your choice. We offer pretty much any of the Crow grinds. New head bolts, these are GM ones. They all come with a new balancer bolt. All come with a new O-ring for the oil pickup, for the oil pump pickup. All come with a new cam retainer plate. All come with new GM LS7 lifters, new lifter buckets, new timing set. The upgraded kit, the tier 2 kit, comes with double row. The sort of budget friendly one comes with a single row. They all come with a front cover gasket kit, that is water pumps, front cover gasket and front main seal to reuse the rear main plate, and all come with our upgraded double springs, which I've already installed here on these heads, ready to go. So that's pretty much the basics. They all come with it. They also come with exhaust manifold gaskets as well as head gaskets, and the tier 2 kit comes with a sump gasket as well, because with the double row timing kit you have to drop the sump to get it right. The tier 2 kit also comes with the pickup girdle. These are always a must when you go on double row timing chain. We do offer them as an option for the tier 1 if you'd still like to use one even for your single row, but we generally use them always for double row timing chains because of the way that they offset the pump from the motor. So anyway, guys, I'm sure there's things I've forgot, but head over to the website and have a look. There's a big list of everything that comes in each kit, and you can sort of decide for yourself which way you want to go. But anyway, for this one, for the most part, it's getting most of the budget-friendly kit. because you know it's not planned for boost or massive RPM or anything. It's sort of just a nice work rig that's going to go really well. So it's, you know, GM head bolts, GM balancer bolts, stuff like that. So we're on our way to making some good power. So for this particular motor, for this particular upgrade, we do have something special lined up. These are a set of custom CNC ported 241s ready to go into this thing. And we're pretty excited about these. So these are done by a very good porter who's a very good friend of ours. We've been friends with him for a very long time. These are the same heads we put on the 383 that went into the purple VY, to which we have not finished yet, which you will see coming up why that has gone about the way it has. So it's going to be a little while before then. But it'd be awesome to see some results out of these heads, finally. And I've already gone ahead and installed our double springs on these heads. These heads also have his 3-angle valve job as well. So yeah, very excited to see some results out of these. I think it's going to be really, really good. So I had to install, because of the 3-angle valve job, had to use some 15th hour shims under the valve springs to get them to the correct installed heights. And I've also already gone and installed our trunnion upgrade kit to these rockers ready to go into this thing. So we're already a little bit ahead as far as getting the springs already in the heads, and the trunnion upgrades are already in the rockers, which is you know, a good little head start. So it means from here it's just a matter of starting to assemble everything, which is really nice, and just double checking everything as we go. So first things first to go in, our new cam. So we've decided on the 1249 grind for this particular setup, which is a 226/232, so on a 112 separation. So quite a tight little lobe sep, or tight-ish, for this little thing, with a, you know, a nice sort of high 220s duration, and it should be a really good balance of nice drivability with these CNC heads. So another thing with these kits is that the timing sets that they come with are what we call a Torrington bearing type, which means they have this bearing instead of just running against a dry surface. But however, what this means is that you actually have to modify the cam retainer plate. You have to chamfer the cam retainer plate so that it doesn't clash with the actual gear, and so that the bearing actually runs on the plate and the gear doesn't. So just be mindful of that. That requires a little bit of finesse and work, and I'll show you exactly right now as Rex is doing it. So you just want to chamfer this edge just so that it's not a 90. You want to chamfer it down just a nice sort of 2 mil or so. We usually just use our die grinder with a burr, but you can do it with a file or whatever you have, whatever you're patient with, and just, yeah, just to create a little bit of room for the inside of that gear to sit so that the bearing runs on the plate. One new cam in there, so now that we've got the cam in, we can go ahead and install our new lifters. So first thing I do with the lifters is soak them in just a little bit of oil, just so that they are not dry when it's started up, just to try and pre-pump them up a little bit with a little bit of oil. Alright, so what you just saw then was just me CCing these heads, this head, because it has been decked 40 thou, but also when they get CNC, they CNC the chambers, so didn't quite know exactly what to expect as far as chamber size, so we've decided we'd CNC them so that we know exactly what we're working with. While I'm doing that, Rex has got the timing gear on, obviously finished that cam plate, got some new ARP cam bolts, which come in every set as well. Every cam kit, and at the moment we're just going to degree the cam in and do a bit of a piston and valve check. That same thing, we've had 40 thou decked off these heads, and this cam is a 612 lift or something like that, so even though it's not a massive duration cam, it's a lot of lift because we wanted to take full advantage of our flow for these CNC ported heads. So we just got to do a quick piston and valve clearance check, make sure we're not going to have any issues. After that, it's time to go home and smash it all together. We've got ourselves a little bit of clearance, a little bit enough clearance, so good to go.
That's more than enough. That's about 3.5–4 mil thick, which is
close to 200 thou. That mastic, and that's without a gasket, so heaps.
Alright guys, getting these heads on, just got the little 10mm bolts to do up top. Now for all of you playing at home, a lot of you, again, LS people already know, the head bolt holes in these things are what we call blind, which means they don't actually go through into anything. So they don't go through into a wet area, which means that the thread actually bottoms out in the cast. Which means two things. Firstly, it means you don't have to worry about sealing the thread because it doesn't go into a wet area. But secondly, you have to ensure that the thread hole is clean and clear of anything possible. So we all know that fluid doesn't compress. So if you've got water or oil or something in your thread hole and you try and tighten a bolt down into it, that's going to go somewhere. And what we've seen a few times is actually cracked blocks from people trying to tighten down head bolts while they've had water or something in their thread holes, or in the threads. So very, very important that those threads are all cleaned out really well and really carefully before you go whacking your head bolts in. But anyway, that's our CNC ported heads pretty much installed with our brand new GM head bolts. Alright, shimming the pump. Why do we shim the pump, Rex?
To make sure that the gears and the housing are all centered around the crank, to make sure that there's clearance around all sides. Like if you just whacked the housing on, you could be hard one side and this gear will be rubbing hard on one side, on the outside of the housing or on the bottom, or
start where the housing is.
Yeah, so we use, these are 2 thou shims. We just use them around the inside of the gear and then on the outside as well, to make sure that the housing's centered on the crank and that the gears have 2 thou clearance all the way around, so that everything's floating. Because when that's full of oil in there, you'll have an oil film through between that outer gear and that housing all the way around. And same with the inside too, and that keeps everything nice and happy.
So nice of GM to put the cover for the gears on the outside of the pump so you can actually do this. It's very difficult to do something like this for something like an RB or a JZ. It sucks. Alright guys, so now comes time to do the pickup. So we've got ourselves our brand new pickup O-ring, which comes with the kit. A little bit of rubber grease on that, and we've also got ourselves our new billet girdle. So I'll show you what this does. So as you can see from factory, GM released the pickup with only one bolt hole in the pickup, but as you can see, all the pumps have 2 provisions for 2 bolts. So what this girdle does is it replaces your 1 bolt and actually braces the pickup, and you can use 2 bolts. So it's just a little bit of insurance. It's an optional thing for this sort of kit. We always supply them when we supply a double row timing chain, because when you supply a double row timing chain, it actually spaces the pump off the block a little bit, which pushes the pickup off, you know, spaces it out a bit far. So what we always do is elongate these holes to pick up on the windage tray for the pickup, and we always use one of these billet girdles just for insurance. So the other thing is to ensure, as Rex did, just that you don't cock or pinch the the O-ring on your install, and you should be fine. You shouldn't have any oil pressure issues, and you should be safe as houses. So we do offer this girdle as sort of an option, although generally just about every LS we do, if we get to this point, we always put the girdle on. It's one of those things where they're not a super expensive part, and it's just a lot of insurance. It's a lot of peace of mind knowing that you've got that girdle and you've got both pickup points, both bolts holding that pickup on, and you know it's not going to, you know, potentially cock or come out and start sucking air and cause you to starve oil and bin your mains. Anyway guys, it's getting a bit late. It's time to pack it in, call it a day. So this is where we've got to, is I've pretty much shown you everything I wanted to show you. Now today's Saturday, tomorrow I'm not going to be working. I'm going to spend the day with the family. So Rex is going to finish assembling this. However, like I said, I've shown you everything I really wanted to show you. From here, it's pretty much a new front cover plate with our new main seal on the front, with our new gasket, which is in the kit as well. We've got our new rear main plate that already has a seal in it and comes with a gasket and new bolts. And we've also got a new sump gasket in there, and the sump will go back on as well. We've then got our brand new GM balancer bolt to put the balancer back on. And that's pretty much going to be complete the engine side of things in the kit. So after that, Rex may get it in the car tomorrow. It depends what happens, but yeah, either way, you can imagine what's going to happen from here on out. Get it back together, get it back in the car, and we'll see what sort of results we can get out of these freaking heads. Very, very excited. Alright guys, back here today. I had a lovely little day with the family yesterday, and while I was doing that, Rex actually got the motor back together, back into the tonner, and all hooked up and running again. So it sounds phenomenal, sounds really good. Rex spent a little bit of time yesterday just getting the idle and stuff sorted out. But yeah, pretty much today we're just going to run it up on the dyno and give it a tune, and we'll see what sort of results we get out of this thing. So as you can see, quite a tough sounding work ute, pretty good sounding work rig. As far as an intake goes, we're actually going to order a OTR from VCM for this thing. It's not going to be here obviously today, but what we're all going to do today is just run it up and tune it as it is. We've just got a resistor back in where the intake air temperature sender would be, so that we can pretty much emulate a intake air temp of our choice, which is just going to be pretty much ambient for today. The dyno will tell us what the ambient temp is. We'll set the resistor back so that it emulates the ambient temp as intake air temp, and that's how we'll tune today. And then later on, when the VCM OTR gets here, we can whack it on with an intake air temp sensor and we'll be on our way. So looking very good. Pretty glad we went through the effort of actually pulling it out and fixing that rear main and everything else. And
I'm really happy we did that.
yeah,
It was definitely worth it.
much better overall, and it's looking a lot nicer in the engine bay now with the actual engine all cleaned up, and we should have 0 oil leaks now from this motor.
So far, I was running it yesterday, it's like it doesn't leak a drop of anything.
Doesn't leak a drop of
it's
anything.
awesome.
Perfect. So anyway, let's see what sort of results we can get out of this puppy. guys, so that's where we've ended up. 424.7 horsepower. That's a pretty happy result. We're pretty stoked with that. That is quite a big hunk of power for this thing, considering the cam that's in it's not overly massive. Still seems to be pretty drivable. We're just gonna go for a quick strap on the street now just to double check it all. But overall, absolutely stoked with it. The last thing we have to do is just fit the OTR when it gets here. Not gonna worry about filming that though, it's pretty self-explanatory. We just get the OTRs from VCM, which I will hopefully also be adding to the website very soon if you'd like to order one. So anyway, as I kept saying guys, if you're interested in these sorts of cam kits, we do have them listed on our website, a few different tiers. If you want us to try and put together one that actually caters to what you want, if you've got some odd demands or other stuff you want to piece together, let us know. We'll try and put together a kit for you. If you're interested in us actually performing a cam upgrade, head to our website Onsong Performance where you can actually get in contact with us to actually do this sort of work. So thanks for watching. As always guys, go check out the websites if you haven't already. Much appreciated. Smash like, smash subscribe if you're not already, and we'll see you on the next one. Peace out. See you, bye.